Back in the late 1960s, there was a famous author named Adam Smith, after the Scottish philosopher and economist. And he wrote a book called The Money Game, which I recommend highly. And then he wrote a second book. And in that book, he talks about where he was meeting with a famous investor writer named Benjamin Graham. And they were talking about writing a new book. So Adam Smith was asking Benjamin Graham about that. This is the book, Super Money. And Graham said, you know, as far as working on this new book, there are really only two people I would want to work on this. You're one, and the other is Warren Buffett. Who's Warren Buffett? Asked Adam Smith. That, as it turns out, was a rather extraordinary question at the time. Warren Buffett, as we all know, had a spectacular record, first as an investor in his own fund, and then when he done well in that during the, I think the late 1950s and through most of the 1960s, he turned to investing in one company called Berkshire Hathaway, and then the people who were in the fund had a choice of putting their money into Berkshire Hathaway, and my goodness, what a spectacular record Warren Buffett had. I've never met the man, but as a speculator myself, I can only bow toward Omaha, where he's lived all his life, and congratulate him. Very well known, of course. Interesting things about him was that while he started with the Benjamin Graham perspective of buying stocks that were really cheap on value alone, what he ended up doing was adding the growth factor and looking to buy stocks for, or buy companies for Berkshire Hathaway that had strong growth potential and strong management, as well as having perhaps a good value, the more of the Benjamin Graham approach. Another thing I can remember reading about that was really kind of, I think, an innovation in how to run manage money successfully was to get into the insurance business. And what's interesting about that is that the typical insurance company, a big part of their job is to invest the money that they get from premiums and have a portfolio that is a very important source of the revenues. But a typical insurance company only takes very conservative investments. They might buy a lot of bonds or things of that nature, or defensive stocks, whereas what Warren Buffett did with the insurance company that he bought and invested was to invest in his much greater knowledge of how the growth in the value of a company could be much greater than what you could get from buying a bond. And that was the source, I think, of the most of the original money that Warren Buffett was able, with his great partner, Charlie Munger, to invest. And so that was fascinating to me. I don't consider myself anything like Warren Buffett in the sense that he was good at running a company. And I've always been a lone wolf type of investor with his own money, like the famous Jesse Livermore that I've talked about elsewhere. But now Warren Buffett, at the age of, I believe, 96, is saying he's going to hand the baton of CEO over to Mr. Abel. I wish them both well. As I said, I've never met Warren Buffett, but he has a great position in my thinking, as much about venture capital as about investing in the stock market per se. But a great man, and Mr. Buffett, and if I ever have a chance to meet you, I could be a fourth in bridge, and even though I wouldn't play as well.